The greater good.
Huh, wonder who that is. It's the Iceriver KS0 Pro 200 gigahash Kaspa mining mini beast.
Honey, can you take out the garbage?
Not now, I'm doing crypto stuff.
Oh, did you get the Iceriver KS0 Pro?
You know it. Hey everybody, Greater Good Mining here. If you're new to the channel, thanks for stopping by. I'm assuming you're here for Iceriver content and specifically for the KS0 Pro. But if you're interested in any other Iceriver content, I've got a ton of it. Consider subscribing to my channel and then you won't miss any new Kaspa ASIC information. I've been covering this since day one. So anyway, every good unboxing video starts with a knife. But before I unbox this thing, I want to say thank you to Iceriver for providing this KS0 Pro 200 gigahash Kaspa mining mini beast to let me test it. I really appreciate the opportunity. Okay, let's get this thing open. For those of you that don't know, if you haven't seen my channel before, me and RPM had this epic Kaspa mining hash rate battle going on. So that's why I've got the little board over there. Hey RPM. He just overtook me because he got a KS3. So I'm glad to have this KS0 Pro. I'm catching back up to you, RPM. I'm coming for you, man. Anyway, this is packaged nicely. So this is pretty tight. This pink foam, pretty tight. That KS0 Pro is not going anywhere. So they have included for me the power supply, but it says on their website that the power supply is not included. It's about $19, so you will need to buy your own power supply. If you've seen my other videos, the original KS0s came with 90 watt power supplies. This is a 120 watt power supply, so it should run cooler. It's more appropriate for this KS0 Pro because the KS0 Pro is 100 watts. So 120 watt power supply should be just fine. So let's get this sucker out of here. Yeah, that is packed in there tight. It's not going anywhere, guys. Can't even barely get it out. There we go. Okay. So that's the KS0 Pro. It looks just like the original KS0 actually. Okay, so I went ahead and grabbed my OG first batch KS0. This thing has mined over 62,000 Kaspa so far. I got this in June, and I think I was one of the first YouTubers to do a setup video. That setup video is pretty raw, but it's got like 10,000 views. So that's the original. I wanted to put them side by side so you compare. They really look very similar, but I don't know if you guys can see, the KS0 Pro doesn't have quite as many holes in the top. This is the OG KS0. And that is the KS0 Pro. See how there's not quite as many holes in the top for convection. That's interesting. They did DM me some information about the heat. I'm going to just read that to you real quick. Iceriver says, here's a friendly reminder regarding the KS0 Pro. During our testing, we found that the surface temperature of the KS0 Pro at room temperature, they say 25 degrees Celsius, the surface temperature can reach approximately 58 degrees. So the surface of the KS0 Pro can reach 58 degrees Celsius. If you feel that the surface of the machine is overheating, this is normal. It's a normal thing. They want the heat to come out of the machine and go into the heat sink of this device. You can connect a USB fan. You can cool it down if you need to. That should reduce the temperature, the exterior temperature, to about 45 to 50 degrees. The KS0 Pro pulls more power than the original KS0. The temperatures will be a little bit higher than the regular KS0. The external fan, they say, is not mandatory. I bought a 140 USB fan. It only pulls like 3 to 5 watts. It's got a controller on it. You can put it high, low, and I just put it on the top. Originally, the KS0s, if you saw my other videos, the power supplies, they just ran kind of hot, the 90 watt ones. I didn't like that, so I had my fans aiming down at the heat sink to have airflow off the side to cool the power supply. But now I have 180 watt power supplies on both my KS0s. They run cool. It's not necessary anymore. So I've learned a lot more about the temperatures on these Icierivers and what they can handle. Iceriver says the top fan is no longer necessary. I will probably still put my little USB fan on top. I don't screw it in. It's got rubber feet. It's slightly bigger, 140 millimeters instead of 120. And I'll just kind of pull the air up off of it, and that should be sufficient to keep this thing in the temperature range that it needs to be in. The auto fan on the newer firmware, seems to keep it right where you want it to be. Let me go ahead and flip these over. You might have seen my OG KS0 had the little brown Noctua fans on it. Let's see what the fans look like on the KS0 Pro. They don't have Noctua fans on the KS0 Pro, but I will say in the firmware on these seems to be a little bit better than the original one. The fans keep it in the temperature I want it to be in without having to mess around too much, and they're pretty quiet. I've got my second batch KS0 running in the background. You can't even hear it at all. It's almost silent. So let's see what else we got for differences. That's where I plug my USB fan in. There's your IP report button. I'll show you guys how to set it up in a minute. See if there's any difference here. Okay, so some differences here. Ethernet plug is on the same side as the IP report button, and the USB fan on the Pro. So this is the Pro, Ethernet, IP report, USB. On the OG KS0, IP report, USB. And let's flip it over. Yeah, they're a little bit different. Slightly different. So only the power plug-in, the barrel power plug-in on the Pro on this side, and on the OG KS0 power plug-in and Ethernet's on this side. So that's the differences that I can see on the exterior. The big one for me is the heatsink doesn't have as many holes in it. Maybe the chips are more concentrated towards the middle. I'm not sure. Didn't hear anything about that from Iceriver, and I'm not going to take this thing apart. So let's go ahead and talk about some more of the things I've done to optimize. I just bought these cheap little rubber feet off Amazon. Some people will put these things on their sides to try and get the fans a little extra air. You could do that. That's fine. It's no big deal. But I just put the rubber feet under mine to kind of suspend it, because, you know, the hot air is rising. So I kind of figured little cool air come in through the bottom. The fans push the air up through the top. I put the USB fan on top, and it kind of helps suck the air up and out. So anyway, that's how I have mine set up. You can totally turn it sideways if you want. A lot of people do that. It's up to you. Just watch your temperatures. Make sure they don't get too hot. Make sure you get enough airflow for the fans on the bottom to do their job. Okay, enough about the fans and the heat, right? To set this up, you're going to go to iceriver.io, go to their homepage, iceriver.io. I'll put a link in the description. Go to support, scroll down to tutorial, and if you want to download the KS0 manual, all the setup stuff should be the same. So KS0 manual, we'll click on that, and then you're going to want to download this batch processing tool. This is so you can get to the Iceriver web GUI. So download it to your computer, unzip it, open the file, and you will end up with the Iceriver miner tool, aka the web GUI. Mine shows up in Chinese, but yours will likely show up in English. I downloaded this a long time ago. The button you need to hit is this one. It says IP right here. It'll show up in English for you guys. IP report. So this is where we need to be to get the IP report off of your KS0. We'll get to that in a second. So let's go back to the instructions here. So you've already downloaded the KS0 manual, and I just kind of scrolled past all this stuff. You can read it if you want to, but I want to get to the setup part. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to connect the Ethernet cable, then we're going to plug in the power cord after. You're going to have to wait about a minute. You'll see red and green lights, so they'll be constantly on. And then after about 1 minute, the green status light will start blinking. That will tell you that the miner has successfully started. So let's go ahead and do that first. Okay, I've got my Ethernet cable here. We're going to plug it in. And then on the back side is the barrel plug. Right there. So you're going to plug that in, and we're going to power it on. Okay, we've got it powered on. So now you can see the red and green light constantly on. We're going to wait a minute, and when the green light starts blinking, we will hit the IP report button. Okay, so we've got the green blinking light, and so far it is saying that it is pulling 94 watts. So not quite 100 yet, but it hasn't warmed up yet. I have a feeling once the fans start kicking on a little bit more and it warms up, maybe it will pull a little more wattage. But for now, 94 watts at the moment. So I'm going to go ahead and hit this little IP report button. And then don't forget, you're going to go back to the computer where I showed you, where it says IP report. That that page that showed up in Chinese for me should show up in English for you, and your IP address will be in that little field that I showed you. And you're going to take that IP address and you're going to punch it into a Chrome browser. It works best in Chrome browser. So once you punch it in a Chrome browser, it should open up the web GUI, and then we will go to the next step. 95 watts. Okay, so now that you have punched your IP address into the Chrome browser, you're gonna get to this screen right here. The name of the machine by default is admin, and the password is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. And then you're just going to hit log in, and it should take you into the web GUI. It's warning you there's a data breach on password 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. That's not a very secure password anyways. So we're never going to save that password anyways. So 200 gigahash per second already. I haven't even really had a chance to do much with it. It's only been running 7 minutes. 200 gigahash per second. Awesome. So the first thing we need to do, we need to change the password on this machine. So you're going to go to user setting, and then the current password we just punched in is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. And then I'm going to punch in a new password here and then hit save. Okay, my new password's saved, and I'm going to hit OK, and it's going to make me log in again. So admin and then your new password, and we'll get back into the web GUI. I would normally update the firmware on any new Iceriver that I receive, just in case it shipped from the factory without the latest firmware. But when I went to, this is where you download your KS0 manual batch processing tool, and that's where the firmware downloads are. I clicked on it, and I am not sure if they have the new firmware for the KS0 Pro out yet. It doesn't look like it. They've got KS0, they've got KS1, KS2, KS3, KS3L, KS3M. So I am not going to mess with it because it looks like it's hashing away just fine. My temperatures seem fine so far. The fans are auto-adjusting. So I'm not going to download any new firmware for it, but this is how you get to it just in case in the future they do release firmware for the KS0 Pro. Okay, next we need to change our pool stratum to whatever you want and change your Kaspa wallet address. Otherwise, you're going to just mine to Iceriver for free. So it's been running about 20 minutes while I've been recording this video. My temperatures, we got 47 degrees and 67 degrees, and the fans have auto adjusted to 50%. I have not put a USB fan on the top yet. So in the miner settings section here that you saw me just click on, this is where you're going to take whatever pool you want to mine to. I have been mining to K1 pool. I'm going to put in K1 pool stratum. I'll show you how. If you've seen my other KS0 optimization videos that I did with fully electric, we tested all kinds of pools, and the best yield with the lowest fees that we came up with was K1 pool. So I've switched all my Icerivers to K1 pool. They've had 0% rejected shares, and that's the testing that I've done myself and fully electric. We worked hard on that one. So I will show you K1 pool's homepage, and actually, sorry, this is K1 pool's Kaspa page. Here it is, k1pool.com/pool/Kaspa. That'll take you to this page, and then you're going to scroll down. Make sure you click USA because it defaults to Europe, so you can get the proper stratum. I'm going to punch in the Iceriver KS0 stratum, so make sure you go to USA and then hit this little copy button here, and that will be the proper stratum for a KS0, and it should work fine for the KS0 Pro. So we're going to go back to the web GUI. We're going to punch in the pool address here, the pool stratum, and then I'm going to punch in my wallet here. I delete the backup pools, and the reason why I do that is because previously I'd had my Iceriver's switching between pools, and I didn't really like that. I wanted to stay on one pool. So I only keep one pool. I don't put in the backup pools. You can if you want, or you can punch in the same stratum and same address over and over again. It's up to you. So anyway, I got my stratum in there. I'm not going to show you what my my wallet is. So punch your wallet in here and then hit save. And then after that, you will have to restart the machine. It'll prompt you though. So punch in your address, hit saved, and then it should say operation successful up here, and you would click OK normally, and then it'll ask you to restart the machine. Okay, the machine has been restarted and been running for about 15 minutes. I'm getting 206 gigahash per second on the 5-minute hash rate. We haven't had it running long enough for it to register the 30-minute hash rate. I'm getting 0% rejected shares at the pool. Now let's go ahead and check the temperatures. It's a little weird because the temperature 1 and temperature 2 seem to be reversed. If I remember correctly from the KS0s and all my other Icirivers, usually temp 1 is intake, if I remember right, and temp 2 is exhaust. But either way, I know this is the intake temp at 45 degrees, and the exhaust temp is 60 degrees, and that's perfect. That's right where you want your Iceriver to be. And the internal fans on this thing are at 75%, and I'm only pulling 93 to 94 watts with this thing. So I'm not going to bother at this point putting an external fan on it to just save the wattage. Let's go ahead and look at the external temperatures. I'm going to ask for some help from my good friend, the Predator, on that one. Okay, so let's take a look at these external temperatures. Remember the DM that I read from Iceriver earlier. The surface temperature should be approximately 58 degrees Celsius or a little bit less. And so far, from what I'm seeing, the max temp is the little red floaty plus sign that you see. I'm not seeing anything over 58 degrees. And I felt this power supply. It is warm to the touch, but not hot. So the 120 watt power supply seems to work just fine. Okay, so it's been 30 minutes, and I'm getting 30-minute average hash rate of 204 gigahash per second, 0% pool rejection rate. And the temps are the same. The exhaust temp is 60 degrees Celsius. Fans are at 75%, and I'm only pulling 93 watts on my meter box. So the thing is running like a champ. Now, the question is it worth it? Now, let's take a look at the Kaspa mining hash rate and the price of Kaspa, and let's do a little mathin', and we'll kind of see when will ROI. The price of Kaspa has been pumping, so maybe that'll help. Let's see. Okay, so the Kaspa mining hash rate is 54 petahash per second right now. It seems like for the last month, it's been chopping around about 50 or so. It's kind of surprising. There's a lot of these Kaspa ASICs being shipped out, so expect this hash rate to go up. I've already talked about this quite a bit in my other videos, so just expect that hash rate to go up. Kaspa's emission schedule is aggressive. Just know what you're getting into if you decide to buy one of these. So on an amazing note, Kaspa hit almost 10 cents. It's blowing my mind how much it's been pumping. This is just from one day. Let's go back to 11.9. It was almost 10 cents, so close. Anyway, I normally wouldn't go on CoinMarketCap, but I wanted to go ahead and reward them because they finally listed Kaspa in the proper ranking instead of in the 200s. They listed it into the 30s where it belongs. So I wanted to reward them by using them in my video today. Thank you, CoinMarketCap, for finally listing Kaspa where it belongs. It was kind of like a running joke for a long time. Anyway, let's go ahead and do a break-even calculator. Okay, so the cost of the Iceriver KS0 Pro is $429 plus the power supply is $19.90. So I punched that into the break-even calculator plus shipping. So now let's go ahead and take a look. The ROI, I've already punched this in, would be April 22nd of 2024. That's if the Kaspa hash rate doesn't go through the roof. But also the price of Kaspa has been doing crazy things too. So nobody knows for sure. The price could go to nothing. It could go to like 15 cents. Who knows? We really don't know. I can't believe it even almost hit 10 cents. I know for sure the hash rate will go up. I don't know what the price will do. So this is, the risk is all yours to decide if it's worth it for you. So now I am going to be getting a discount code. I'll put it in the link to the description. You can get 5% off. So 5% off of the machine plus the power supply. would bring the total cost of the machine shipped to you down to $481. So let's see what that does. Oh, brings it back quite a bit actually. So about April 11th. So with my discount, the machine will ROI, if nothing else changes, which we all know it will, by April 11th, 2024. So now you might ask me, is this worth it? Only you really can answer that question for yourself. I don't know what your financial situation is, but for me, I feel like Kaspa has potential. I also really like that these KS0 Pros are relatively inexpensive. They are only 120 volts, so you can plug them into a regular outlet in your house. They will help decentralize the Kaspa network because there's going to be big money going to these mining farms. There's probably dozens and dozens of KS3s waiting to get turned on in some big warehouse somewhere, and it'll be just a farm going nuts. I love that these little machines are reasonable for a normal person. I have 3 of them running in the room that I'm sitting in right now, and you can't even hear them. Actually, the ceiling fan in here is much louder than they are. So they're quiet, they're efficient. They're not as efficient if you look at the watt per hash as like a KS3, but I mean, not everybody can run a KS3. So honestly, I like these KS0 Pros. Anyway, I hope this video was helpful to you. If it was, please consider liking the video, subscribing to my channel, share the video with a friend, and I'll be covering more on the KS0 Pro as days go on. I'll continue to make videos on Iceriver content and crypto mining in general. So yeah, subscribe to my channel and follow me along on my journey. I'd love to help people out, so hit me up, make a comment, and let me know if you have any questions on the KS0 Pro or if there's something you want to test in the future. And I want to say thank you again to Iceriver for supplying me with the KS0 Pro to test it. I really appreciate the opportunity. And last but not least, don't forget to keep it decentralized for the greater good.
The greater good.